Guys, this is mental health, okay? Right?
This is a
Come on.
You're brown, you're not you're depressed.
so true. Alright, go. So,
Alright.
so the first question I wanna give you is literally it's the same with them.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there are gender roles in the South Asian community?
Yeah, I do think there are gender roles. Like, it's in every community there'll be gender roles, but especially in South Asian communities, like, especially for women, like there's a lot of like gender roles, like especially like maybe not in UK. I'm not too sure about UK, but like in Pakistan, a lot of women are kind of like told that they're getting married, you know, that's their thing. And then obviously it's also for men. This same reason is also negative for men, because men kind of, that's their culture, right? They're supposed to be like, we come from a culture where they are supposed to be more powerful than women. Like that's a thing that's in our culture. And then obviously when you come to a more Western place, it's much more equal, as it should be. That could also be bad for, like, for me specifically, that's really like fucked up my mental health, you know, just thinking about things like that. Coming to a more Western place, trying to understand more about genders, but because of where I come from, there's that inside in me is maybe backwards or old school, or like, you know, there's like a conflict of two sides. That's how I feel about Did that make sense?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you were saying there are obviously two sides.
I think even with males, like there would be gender roles too. There's gonna be gender roles all the time. Like with females, it's obviously like it's much more like they've literally been taught to kind of in Pakistan just get engaged. That's their purpose, and it's almost because they've been taught from a young age that they don't mind. That's not it's nothing wrong to them. You know, it's normal. And then with guys again, it's normal to kind of it's normal to feel not inferior. What's the other word for superior? It's normal because that's what our culture is. It's normal to yeah.
So do you think as a like man, as a guy, there's a lot of pressure because of traditions to become
as much as like I think there is pressure, but at the same time saying this pressure is also kind of I feel guilty saying this pressure because there shouldn't be pressure. But I think because of I feel pressure when it comes to kind of
young man,
as a man. Yeah.
You feel like you have to provide, and there's a pressure of you getting a higher job. Do you think how do you believe that affects your mental health? Do you think?
I mean, once as a man, like obviously you're like your dad wants you to get a better job and like be successful, right? Like you have to provide. That's and that coming from a quite privileged family, I don't feel too much pressure when it comes to work. Like I've come from a family that like has allowed me to be really like free almost with like what I want to pursue. So I think it depends on the family you've come from, but I think in general there is much more pressure on men to be successful. Obviously, yeah.
Thanks, bro. Do you believe the environment you grew up in affected your mental health?
100%, yeah. I grew up in Dubai, so like I was born in Pakistan, but I moved to Dubai. So over there was much more liberal. There was a mix of female, male. The ideas were really like liberal. Everyone could kind of say anything. So I feel like that has made me much more open-minded.
Yeah.
I like 100%. Yeah. Where you grow up, like it's definitely.
You growing up in Dubai is much more different to growing up in Pakistan.
I think it's much more different. Yeah.
Do you believe that gave yourself two different identities from a clash? Maybe a clash.
I always feel like there's like even being a man, there's like this certain ego you have.
Yeah.
And it's something I deal with. It's like this ego of being a man and like being, I don't know, it's like really negative.
Yeah, I feel
But I feel like that's like two identities. There's almost that ego, and then there's that more mature side of thinking of things.
yeah, of course. As a man I can speak, yeah, it's like there is always the ego.
Yeah.
But obviously with that ego, it mixes in with tradition as well.
100%.
You're supposed to be in a level of state of you being economically wealthy,
Yeah.
Providing for your children, providing for your family, and that's what your family has to look up to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I think because of me living in the Western world and my traditions are so different, it clashes.
Yeah.
Which is really hard.
It is tough. Yeah. 100%.
So where do you think you'll find the most support?
I think friends, like genuine friends that you can talk to about your feelings and stuff. Family, like I know a lot of South Asian families obviously aren't, like, it is kind of taboo to mental health, and I mean my dad was also kind of like because it links a lot with religion as well, especially if you're a Muslim or something. That it's kind of more like an excuse if you have mental health, like, oh, you should pray more or you should play sports more. It's like just like there's some, you know what I'm saying. And I mean obviously you can't get it with family, like that like talking about your feelings and stuff. Then therapy is super important, I think.
That just leads to the question.
Or if you have siblings, friends and stuff, like you shouldn't, like, you should be able to talk about your feelings and like anything. There shouldn't be a wrong or right, because it's just a conversation.
Do you find it harder as an actual man to?
I do. Yeah.
Is there any specific reason? Do you feel like
I think the reason is like, and I think one of the biggest reasons is media, and just like opinions are really delicate these days. Like, because of the media, because
there is a wrong or
because
right.
there's a wrong or right. Everything we see in the media there's a lot of like gatekeeping. So we only see one opinion, which is a correct opinion, which is like the consensus of everyone.
Yeah.
But because of that feeling of just like one side, it doesn't allow you to have conversations about stuff, and it might just make you more of a nervous person, more of like you're always on the edge and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I feel like that's affected me, like personally. That's affected me.
I honestly agree. I do feel the same. It is harder to speak about obviously your feelings, your emotions, especially growing up with a role model of a father that hasn't actually spoken.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I realized, like it's really like a lot of maybe I'm not sure about females obviously, but a lot of guys and their their dads, if you're South Asian, if you're Indian or Pakistani, for me, like it's been really surface level with your dad, like
there's not really a
and you normally connect more emotionally with your mom,
of course.
So we just see females as more of like a emotional role model,
Person to speak to instead of your dad. That's perfect. Cool. So that just led into the question of like, do your family or do your parents believe like mental health is a taboo, or how do they deal with it? Do you have education? Do they teach you?
I feel like growing up, my mom was always like really in tune with her feelings. My dad was a little bit more of like a hard, but recently, as we've been growing up and stuff, and like I've opened up more with my parents, I feel like they've not changed, but they've become much more open to just like caring about our actual mental health and stuff. Like even my brothers, it is harder with the South Asian family, but you shouldn't really care. Like there's all these stigmas and stuff, and like if you talk to them, or being manly, you shouldn't talk to people or like your dad and stuff. But that's just kind of dumb, because they're your parents. They're your parents. They'll help you. You need it.
I agree. So my next question is like, as generation of literally the next community, South Asian community, how do you think we can help and support?
How can we help and support? Maybe more representations of people like us that are like in the media. I mean, there is a lot, But actually,
there
there
could be
not
a lot
isn't.
more, isn't
There
there?
could be much more. There could be much more, and I literally think it's just people looking. Everything you see, look at stuff online. Like, if you just see that, if you're growing up and that's what you're looking at,
That'll be ingrained in
that'll
the
just be ingrained. Everything's being ingrained. Like everything's online. Like my little cousin is like 4 and he just has an iPad. Just think about the amount of
things
ideas
that
that are
there.
just, and these ideas are coming from one opinion or like one kind of like string. Like you know,
it's going to be biased.
yeah, it's gonna be biased.
There's not a lot of stuff about our tradition, how to improve on it, which there could be.
So I
much
think just
more.
more representation, obviously, and then just like more. I guess even as a generation right now, I feel like we're becoming more self-aware. So when we become parents, if that's gonna happen, we'll probably be better equipped to
We'll be more
talk to our
educated.
children about
Like,
that. So I think it's going upwards. Like if it's getting better.
Yeah, it's definitely much more getting better.
Yeah.
Obviously, as our parents, do you think like we can change their opinion, or do you think it's already deep rooted?
Because I used to talk to my grandma a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't really change their opinion. Like because if you think about, they have grown up with these values, these ideas,
And
like
they
what's
had it
right,
throughout
what's
life.
wrong, and they've had their whole life. So instead of kind of trying to tackle and change their opinion, like have conversation about other things where you agree on,
So
like,
that's gonna be it. Right?
and hear their opinions with an open mind as well. You know, but I don't think you can change opinions. Like you know.
And it kind of killed me.
Um,
So then I kind of distanced myself from him as well. But
last question is: do you believe your culture creates a blockage from who you want it to be?
No.
No.
No. Like, maybe for certain people, but for me, no. Because even my family has been super open-minded. Like, we've even grown up in Dubai, so we've just been like a really, not liberal, but like, I feel like we are a bit more open-minded than others.
Open-minded,
Especially me and my brothers. Like, I'm the youngest, so my brothers had to pave that way to kind of get my parents to.
And because of your
And because of that, I feel like I have much more of like a
freedom.
freedom of just thinking. And stuff
That's really
like
good.
that.
That's
yeah.
actually amazing.
Yeah.
Because it just shows an example of how if you become more open-minded, as your parents will be obviously educated,
Yeah.
you as a younger generation you have way more freedom of what you want to be and who you
Yeah.
want to be.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, that's really it. That's all
Yeah.
the questions done.
Cool.
Do you have anything to ask? Or
Just man, like I think if this is like a thing for mental health, right?
yeah,
Even if you don't have like an issue and stuff, like I think therapy is good. Like just talking about shit. Like I don't. Sorry, I said shit. It's
No,
just
cool.
talking about stuff. Like even if it's really dumb, just getting stuff out of your head. Because if there's a lot of stuff in your head and you're growing up, that can kind of like a lot of thoughts can kind of get worse and escalate more and more and just
Yeah.
become more rotten. It can go that way or go well. So just talk about things more.
Yeah, no,
talk about your feelings
that's
more.
seriously, that's one of the main things because I realized that even growing up, obviously you have no one to talk to. You keep it bottled up,
Yeah.
and that's when the problem occurs. This is when the disorders actually occur.
Yeah.
And you expressing it to people, your friends, your family, really helps. You know, and showing what's your issues.
That builds trust and like they can take it any way they want, but that's on them. You know, like you're being honest with yourself by telling someone.
Yeah.
That's on them how they take it.
Yeah.
You know, so
That will help. That actually helps because I'm trying to find a way to shape my campaign.
yeah.
And knowing that even with the girls, like they even said actually talking to people actually helps the most.
Yeah.
I mean that. So obviously that's really helps because now I can shape my campaign and actually expressing the feelings and
Exactly.
maybe creating a community.
Yeah. Yeah. Because with feelings comes more like. With genuine feelings comes more like connection with people, and that's how you'll get that campaign. Like people actually
Yeah.
connect more if you're like
that's
sharing your genuine feelings instead of like these what's the surface feelings.
Yeah.
Like
and
you know.
that's the way to improve the
Yeah.
next generation, isn't it?
Yeah. And once again, being a Pakistani boy, Bangladeshi guy, you just gotta talk about it more and stuff.
Definitely.
You know.
Yeah, thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you for. I loved like reading the questions as well. It just made me think of it.
It makes you think about it.
It's like it's been a thing that I've been thinking of like it's something like even last year, man. I was like I would just think about like just gender roles and like there was just so much guilt to being a guy that I felt, which is might be wrong.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I feel
But
the
this,
same.
and just feeling that guilt makes me feel guilty. Like
Yeah,
it's
it makes
really
you feel
weird.
bad of being who you are.
Yeah,
Like, even though I am a man,
Yeah.
I feel guilty of what my mom's been doing. Like,
Yeah.
she's been cooking and cleaning
Yeah.
and stuff. Obviously,
Yeah.
I want to change that.
yeah,
But as a man, I feel bad. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
yeah. But then even feeling bad that you're feeling bad kind of makes you think like, why are you feeling bad? Like, do you feel like you're inferior? Like it's
Do you
really,
feel like-
I don't
yeah.
know. Like
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a mindset.
It's just overthinking. I overthink a lot. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
I think, honestly, even with my brothers and that happens, that occurs.
Yeah.
Overthinking a lot of who you actually are.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, is I still don't feel like I understand who I am. Like,
Yeah.
from culture clash to Western, I don't know what my parents want from me and stuff. But that's something I need to get over with, isn't it?
That's something that like that's what life is. Like,
Yeah.
that's it's something that'll just keep happening. You'll never reach your true self because then what's gonna happen? Like
That's
you'll
it,
be bored,
if it
you gotta
stops.
keep learning and stuff. Yeah. Facts, yeah. Yeah.
That's good, man. Really good. No, really good conversation.
Like,
Seriously.
yeah, it was really fun. Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
I was
Cool,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to.
It's gonna help me a lot to the girls.